polarized situations, we tend to identify with the leaders we choose. When we do, we fall prey to the same biases that affect our evaluation of friends and loved ones. Each of the biases and processes I want to discuss affects all of us in all kinds of decisions, but I'm just going to discuss how they may have affected Trump supporters. We have images of all kinds of people and professions in our minds. If I say doctor, you have an image in your mind. It's the same if I say professor or president. If I ask you which of these people is the doctor, you look for qualities in the person that match your image of a doctor. Does he have the characteristics that represent my image of a doctor? That's the way you process that. Even I admit that Trump looks more like a president than Hillary, for two reasons. First, Hillary is a woman, and we've never had a woman president. Second, Trump has been polishing and refining his leader image for over a decade on his apprentice shows. Reality TV Trump is a strong leader who's sometimes blunt to the point of rudeness, but who knows how to make the tough decisions. I think we can all agree that Trump is very vivid. Cunning individuals like Trump sometimes flood us with vivid statements and vivid information and vivid behavior to draw our attention away from the boring details and facts about their lives. But if you dig into the boring financial details of Trump's business background, you get a very different picture than the one he tries to present. Trump has gone bankrupt 4 times. This is because he overpaid for his properties and then managed them carelessly. When he owned casinos, he showed no interest in learning even the basics of casino operation. He doesn't learn from his mistakes, partly because he denies he's made them. So we can easily understand why he's an utterly incompetent president. He was an incompetent businessman. Essentially, Trump got the job because he looks the part. Now, that's not a problem if you're a reality TV star, but this isn't reality TV. It's reality. The representativeness heuristic is somewhat difficult to explain. It's kind of hard to get your head around. This next one, the confirmation bias, is easy, thank God. Say you have an opinion or a theory or a point of view or a hypothesis, and you want to see if it's true. The right way to find out is to look for disconfirming information that will allow you to abandon or change your opinions if they're wrong. Say you think Trump would make a good president. You should dig around in his background for information that might contradict this view, for any red flags that might indicate he would not be a good president. I'm not just saying this is a good idea. Our electoral process depends on people doing this, at least a little bit. It's our responsibility as citizens. But if you're committed to a person like Trump, if you're motivated to cling to your prior beliefs, you'll search for confirming information, information that will reassure you that you're right. You'll look for everything you can find to support the idea that Trump will be a great president. This is sometimes called bolstering. As I said earlier, we do this with our friends and loved ones, but we can't afford to do it with our leaders. The concept of dissonance reduction has been around for about 60 years, and it has become a very important, a pivotal theory in social psychology. Cognitive dissonance is a painful state of mind experienced by people who hold contradictory ideas or beliefs, or who are given new information that contradicts their prior beliefs. People try to get cognitive balance. That is, they attempt to make their ideas consistent with one another. If people are motivated to defend their beliefs or choices and not change them, there are a number of cognitive techniques or tricks that they can use to reduce dissonance and still cling to their views or to their candidates. Once people decided to support Trump, some of the things he said and did may have raised questions in their minds about his fitness for the job, which would have created uncomfortable dissonance. The response of some of his supporters was to increase their distrust and hatred of Hillary Clinton to achieve balance. So they could say, well, he may not be perfect, but she's a criminal. That's why, in some of his later rallies, they chanted, lock her up. It became a chant, lock her up, lock her up. I even heard somebody say, execute her. Backfire effects are one manifestation of dissonance reduction. They've been studied recently in the context of fact-checking in political campaigns. As you know, Trump has told a great many lies, both before and after his election. But sometimes when you would give Trump supporters the truth, they came to believe Trump's lies even more. Now, they didn't simply ignore the truth. They cognitively fought against it. That's why giving them facts that were inconsistent with their misconceptions merely strengthened those misconceptions. This is called the backfire effect, and research has investigated how it happens and the role it plays in intensifying polarized views on public policy questions. Cognitive processes like engaging in mental counterarguments, intentional misrepresentation of opponents' views, denigration of opponents and the authorities they cite, these are the things that produce backfire effects and serve to make Trump supporters even more committed to him over time. They came to view the truth as an attack on their candidate, and by extension, an attack on them. Now, some people have suggested, because of these effects, we should stop fact-checking altogether. I don't agree. Not everyone is subject to backfire effects. Only the most deeply committed partisans. So it's still worth trying to get the facts and present them clearly. They will get through to some people, though they will not get through to the most committed Trump supporters. The processes and biases that I've described caused Trump supporters to become more and more committed to him over time. We can understand this better by looking at the research on escalating commitment. In some situations, you have to make an initial commitment to a course of action or to a candidate, and later you have to make decisions about whether to increase the commitment or cut your losses. Once people have made the initial commitment, they tend to increase commitment later, despite evidence that their first choice was wrong or that their chosen course of action is failing. If you've ever heard the phrase, throwing good money after bad, that's an example. Also the phrase, waist deep in the big muddy. We're more likely to escalate commitment if we've made public statements of our commitment initially. Trump supporters made public commitments to him early on by attending his rallies, by yelling the appropriate slogans at the appropriate times, and talking with other supporters. Once Trump's supporters identified with him, their support became part of their own sense of themselves. Thus, their commitment became stronger and stronger till it was unshakable. Even now, October 2017, polls show that around 38% of respondents still approve of Trump's job performance and don't think they made a mistake by electing him. I'm very interested to see how many people stay loyal to Trump as he continues to do his job carelessly and ineptly and to cause great harm to people in this country and elsewhere. In conclusion, I've discussed just a small number of the biases and processes that led to Trump's election. There's a lot more to the story. I have links to research on the processes I discussed in the description of this video, and I would also recommend the Wikipedia articles on these topics. If you're interested in pursuing this topic further, I have two excellent books to recommend. The first is Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman, who won the Nobel Prize in Economics in 2002. This book discusses complex topics, but Kahneman makes them as simple and as clear as possible without oversimplifying. The second book is Richard Thaler's book, The Winner's Curse. Thaler just won the Nobel Prize this year. Many of the chapters in this book are written with others who've also done extremely important work in the field. This book concentrates more on purely economic decisions than Thinking Fast and Slow, but both books explain how these heuristics and biases affect our choices and our lives. We must learn how to manage these biases. They lead to numerous errors in individual judgment and recently a very serious error in collective judgment. If we can't elect better presidents, we can't have our democracy anymore.